What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony. I am joined, as always, by Anthony. And yeah, man, I mean, always a good night when you get to nerd out with your boys. And then when you get to add a couple extra boys into the mix and have some fun with it, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I would want to do on a night like this. I just talk about music. The day's been unwound from work, and, we just want to chat about this stuff. And I think for us, this was kind of a throwback episode. There's nothing to promote, just get back to the basics. And I think, chatting with Marty and Toby of Sparks the Rescue, we did just that. It's a band that we've had history with for 20 years plus. Mm-hmm. We had Toby on back, episode in the 40s, right?
Yeah, 44.
Yeah, we had him. It was just Toby. If you want to hear the history of Sparks and their, kind of their whole legacy and all that, episode 44.
Be gentle.
And I did listen. We both did. We listened to it to kind of remind ourselves of what we covered a couple of years ago. I was, critical of us, but like Toby was a great guest, and he gets in, he answers all the questions. It's a great story. A lot of great stuff there, but
yeah, they may be the biggest band to ever come out of Maine too. I mean, it's them or Rustic as far as we're concerned, and it might be those guys. It might be Sparks. So the fact that they're back and making music and playing shows, which we were lucky enough to see a few weeks ago, pretty awesome stuff. And the new songs are killer. Bat Skate Park and Collarbone. Go check those out if you haven't listened to them yet. And if you're here and you've clicked on this, you might have already, but that's cool. Go listen to them again. And be ready for maybe some more stuff down the line from Sparks. So pretty exciting stuff.
It is exciting. And there's no label pressure. There's no time pressure. It's on their terms, what they want to do, what they want to sound like. They get the right group, right? I mean, that's when I think of Sparks, I always think of like this core six. Like that was the sweet spot. That was, man. And it's not a, trying to, we get into this. It's not trying to recapture the old days. It's fresh. It's new. And we're here for it. And hey, if you're here for this episode, we have huge back catalog. We've had interviews with members of Taking Back Sunday, Thursday, Sum 41, Youth Fountain, Gaslight Anthem,
Crime and Stereo recently, Knuckle Puck back in the fall. We've had a bunch, man. I mean, Peanut from 311, Frank Turner. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. All American Rejects, Nick Wheeler. So there's a lot back there if you dig what you hear from this episode, or if you've checked this out before and maybe didn't realize we had all that back there, go dig in, man. There's some fun stuff back there, and hopefully you'll like it. I mean, if you listen to episode 44, just be aware that we were very early in our interviewing phase.
It's our demo.
Yeah, but Toby's great, and Toby and Marty were great tonight. Let's get into it right now.
When I did the interview with you guys during the pandemic, like that was pretty early on, wasn't it?
Very. Episode 44 for us.
Wow, yeah. And what are you at now?
This will be like 217, I think.
That's crazy.
16, 17, yeah.
I listened back to that one last night, Toby.
Same.
And
oh, really?
we've come a long way. Yeah, it was a good interview. Like the content was great. I think
you were great.
Were there.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah, you were great. Yeah, we were like super timid and
we were new, and yeah.
I remember listening to it when it came out. I'm like, this is cool. I'm on a podcast, and then I think like a bunch of friends ended up listening to it. And it was sweet.
It did pretty well.
So it was the stumbling skyward of our career. It was early. It was good for what it was.
Yeah,
it had a lot of potential.
Yeah,
a lot of potential, but there's a little bit of rough patches in there.
Well, it's funny. I've never been in a band, but like I look at like a band like Thrice, and like, oh, they hate those early albums. They don't play anything like that. Why is that?
Like that.
Illusion of Safety. And then being a podcast, I'm like, our old episodes, I don't want anyone to hear that shit. Like, let's delete it off streaming, please.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't though. You might have some golden stuff back in those archives.
Every now and then we struck gold, and we said something that like was right or came to fruition like 6 months later, and we would like cut it and put it out into the world. Like, hey, we called this, guys. But now, now it's tough.
I feel like interviewing is definitely an art form. I feel like after doing it for a while, you get better at it. Yeah.
You have to just get reps. Like it doesn't happen overnight. And I wouldn't say either of us are good at it, but we're better at it than we used to be. So
definitely right, man. I think that's like, in my opinion, that's like any sort of art form is like, as long as you keep doing it, you're going to fucking get better.
Yep.
It's same thing with writing or whatever. Just produce and just make things. And the more and more you do it, like, you're gonna hate the stuff that you did, but all of that stuff
You might
did
not.
you might not, but it brought you to where you are now. You know, like that's the biggest thing. Like, we can listen to Stumbling Skyward and like cringe at all of the crazy things. But
I cringe at the way it sounds, but I think those songs are great. I like have such nostalgia attached to that record, and like I like time travel right back to where we were. We were so like young and excited, and like, I mean, yeah, the songs are okay, but like for me, it's just like, I love that record. I hate the way it sounds, but I do love that
I do too, but now as someone who is like very much in the, like, I wouldn't say atheist camp, but agnostic camp, that song was very and it was very much from my heart.
It was super Jesus-y.
It was.
Listening back to it now, I'm like, oh man, woo.
We're not really, I'm not into that anymore, but
yeah, I don't think any of us are.
Well, I mean, you re-recorded at least a couple of the songs.
Runaway Romance ended up making it to the Secrets EP, which was kind of cool. But I think we left most of the God stuff behind.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Obviously, that's just, we don't need to dig deep into religion here. But,
Who knows if this will even make the episode?
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't care if people know what I believe. I think we all kind of our lives were changing, and we went through a phase there.
Yeah, totally. Do you guys ever listen to like something like that and even mine a little bit, like a riff or something like that from it?
I mean, in general, or that particular record?
In general, but I mean, that we're talking about that record too, so either way.
I think so. I think there's probably a couple of riffs from there that ended up making it, and ultimately, like, just demos. Like, dude, the Bat Skate Park song we just did, that opening riff was an old Sparks song that we premiered at the Bat Skate Park, like, way back in the day. And that's why we called it that.
Before even Alex was in the band.
We have a YouTube video of us playing it. We were like kids. I'll send it to you guys after. But like, obviously the song doesn't sound anything like it did, but that opening riff specifically was a riff that Pat had written a long time ago.
Yeah. And also, like, when we were recording vocals for Bat Skate Park for like my whole breakdown, like screaming part, I remember I tried one sort of vocal take, and I had done something before in scratch tracks, and Nate was like, do it like you did in, like, I can't remember, Feet of Angels.
It was Mob Scene.
It was Mob Scene, that's right.
Yeah.
And it was like, do it is like sort of weird spoken word, like, just come from your heart.
Do it like you're in me without you.
Exactly, which is one of my biggest influences of all time.
Yeah, it was sick.
And it worked out, I guess. So
Marty did that. Marty did that in one take, like that. Oh, wow. Right before the breakdown, he did it, and we stopped, and we're like, nope, it's not gonna get better than that. Let's move on.
That's awesome.
So we want to hit on all the shit. So now that we're talking music, let's just dig into the music. When you guys released that song, it was like 2 days before the shows a few weeks back, and I saw the name of the song, Bath Skate Park, and I was like, shit. I went there one time, and it was to see you guys.
Nice.
And I was trying. I remember the day, which is bizarre. I totally remember the day. And it was like did they have like daytime shows there?
I think they did.
Because it was like a weekend day. And was there a gas station within walking distance that a bunch of us just like would walk to? And
yes, for sure.
Okay, then yes. Yeah. I went there once. It was to see you guys.
And I think we had played in like the actual big skate park room, and then there ended up being like a back room that started doing shows.
So that's where I saw the side room was like long and narrow.
Yep.
Yes.
It was that room. Yep.
Dude, you might have been at the show that we're gonna send you the video of.
Nice.
Very possible.
Hey, spoiler! I filmed it. No, I'm just kidding.
You did film a lot of shows back in the day, so
that wasn't not one of them.
You're in my basement right now, and I didn't know.
So that song feels like an old Spark song. So like I think you just confirmed a question I was going to ask. Is like, was that from back then, or was that like when was that written?
Jeez, I don't know.
Well, that was written probably like fifth. Well, so
06.
The thing with that song, that was a little bit later than that. It was probably like 07. Yeah, it was 06, 07. But it was it's the dun, 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 dun. That was the only.
It's just the riff.
It's just that riff that we had. It was a song called "May Hope Guide Me" that me and Patrick sat in his parents' basement one time and we wrote it about our two girlfriends. But the riff
And
was
maybe
really
maybe a little bit of Jesus in there.
no, there was no
Sprinkle, just sprinkle.
always a little sprinkle of Jesus with us back in those days. But the song was completely frenetic. We loved it, but it never really went anywhere. And then when we started writing music again within the last year or so, we were like, okay, like Patrick has been on fire with writing stuff, but he was like, I remember this riff from this old song that we played at this Bass skate park. And like, why don't we play around with that? And he played around with that. And then we, as a band, as a whole, we brought that in. Patrick had some ideas, and then we sort of all morphed it together into what became the Bass skate park.
And that was pre-Alex that show was. Looking
That
at
one
the
was,
video,
yeah.
yeah. And that's been the cool thing about these new songs is that it feels like old Sparks because the original lineup's all back together. Marty's back screaming with us, and it's kind of like it feels like we're recording now what should have or could have happened after the Secrets We Can't Keep EP came out. So we obviously went into a pop punk direction and kind of let go of a lot of the heavy stuff. But that's the stuff that we all like dig more than anything else, I think. Alex maybe likes the poppy stuff a little more, but we all grew up listening to like hardcore and emo, and like that's the stuff we like. And so it feels like the natural progression of things to have everyone back together and doing it again. And like you said, Pat's just like writing these killer riffs and like bringing a lot of stuff to the table that it's like refreshing, because I write a lot of songs, but they're like pop punk country songs. They're not going to work with this band. So it's like kind of know your place, and you know, Pat's bringing in these sick ideas. We all kind of hang out and go over them together, and everyone adds their little. We're sprinkling stuff on there, and yeah, hopefully we got more in the pipeline this year too.
Well, yeah, and we will ask that question here shortly, I think. But sticking with the music and coming together to make both Bath Skate Park and Collarbone, which you guys just released we're talking just after it came out a couple days ago. Were you guys trying to pull from every era? Because Anthony texted me when he first heard Bath Skate Park and said it sounds like every era of Sparks, and I love it. And I think both songs do. If you go back and like listen through the catalog, you get vibes from all of the eras you guys have been. So was that like on purpose? Was that something you guys are trying to do, or was it just like let's write music and see what happens?
I think at least from the way that I see it, and we haven't really like quote unquote talked about this kind of stuff. It's more what happens when Sparks the Rescue, as Sparks the Rescue, the original lineup, gets together as a whole. Like that's sort of who we all are, is the sound that we make together, which is sort of what made like the Secrets We Can't Keep, which was like our first like full or our second EP, like made it stand out, is that like we're not trying to like we have obviously different influences. We all have different influences, but like, you know, there's some pop in there, there's hardcore, there's emo, there's post-hardcore, there's all this different stuff. So like when we started writing music, and especially once we officially reunited in 2021, was it 2021, 2022? I don't fucking know. When we had our reunion shows at Aura and we were all on stage together, it was like, holy fucking shit, this is what we've been missing all along. Like,
I love it.
And so once we started writing music, it's like we need to write the music that is us. Like, it's not trying to write fucking pop music. It's not trying to write screamo music. It just is writing the music that Sparks makes.
Yeah, and like you said, it's everyone's got all these different influences. Everyone listens to different stuff, and that's how it's always been, I think. And that's why Marty's right. Like, we all come together and make this noise that kind of just is what it is. Like, me and Ben and Nate had been doing rhythm sections since we were like literal children, and so the fact that we can all still play together just blows my mind. Anyway, we haven't killed each other yet or anything. We still actually like each other.
There's something to be said for that. Yeah.
So yeah, we bring all these different influences in, and you know, me and Ben and Nate focus, like, once we get like a chord structure down, we start focusing on the three of us. Let's tighten it up. And then, you know, Pat is able to focus more on like, okay, now I can work on leads. Then Marty and Alex are focusing on the vocals and stuff. And it's like I mean, it took we started writing a little bit after those reunion shows, and it was like challenging because we hadn't all been in the same room writing songs in like 15 years almost, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
And so it was challenging, and we kind of like did it a couple times, like, yeah, let's see what happens. And then it didn't do it for a year. And then we got together for more shows, like, no, like, fuck that. Let's go. Let's like put in the work. And once it started going, like we were flowing, it was good.
Well, this brings me back to being like a kid, and you're like hanging out with a girl, and you're like, are we official? It's like, is that the conversation? It's like, are we reunited, or is this just it's one thing to be reunited, it's another thing just to be a reunion. So,
right.
Yeah.
Was there a group chat, or like, how does it even?
Oh, you don't even want to see that group chat.
Oh,
Ben brings that
do,
group
actually.
chat.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's a good fucking point.
If I get a text from Ben, whether it's to myself or in the group chat, I just don't open it in public. You just don't know.
We all have those friends. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that we're all like, we have the minds of 13-year-old boys and filthy 13-year-old boys. Like, not just your regular, like, standard 13-year-old boy. We're all disgusting human beings. And even though we're all like really staring down at 40 pretty hard, when we get back together, it's a foul thing.
It's fun. We have like a lot of fun hanging out. It's like, like you said, it just reminds us, I think we feel younger when we're around each other, because it's like the silly shit we used to do on tour. Like, it's just, now we're in Ben's basement rehearsing though. And it's the fact that it's still fun. Like, that says a lot.
Oxford County boys have no class. I think that's what it is. You guys get nothing.
I literally just said this the other day when we were practicing before the shows. I'm like, the best thing about all of this is that, like, all these years later, we're still just a bunch of dumb, silly boys playing music that we like in a basement with each other.
Yeah.
Like, nothing has changed. And, like, honestly, like, I love that more than anything else, because, like, I just like having fun with my friends. And that's ultimately, I think, what we realized. Like, when we started talking about the reunion shows, it sort of was like, look, like, the pandemic has fucked up everybody's lives. Everything doesn't fucking matter anymore. We now finally have vaccines. You guys would have played some fucking music together, because it feels like the world is just like gone to full fucking shit.
It kind of still does.
Who initiated it? Who was the one that?
It does, Toby. You're right.
Who's the dad of the band that initiated it?
This guy.
I mean, wait, who are you pointing? Where are you
I'm pointing at you, Toby.
Oh, you're down there to me.
Ooh, that guy?
Hey, Zoo.
Yeah, there.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm always just that thorn, like, once a year, like, hey, everybody, how you doing? We should play a show. And then we're like, now wait another 6 months, like, hey, how you guys doing? We should do a show or something. So once we did that reunion, the Jared from Toby the Hero was just like, what are you doing? Like, you guys keep reuniting. This is bullshit. Like, just be a band. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should just be a band. But I think everyone needed to get like the excitement. Like, we did those 2 shows at Aura. It was like, holy shit, this is kind of rad.
Yeah.
Like, people still care, you know?
When we talked to you, and it was January of 2021, you had talked about doing a live stream as the band.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
In December, and it didn't happen. There was some stuff kicking up with numbers, and you guys just decided against doing it because it was a weird time.
Yeah.
And then 10 months later, you're playing Aura, a couple sold out shows, places going nuts. It's like, that's gotta be a pretty wild feeling to, crazy. A year later, we're kind of back to not normal, but closer to normal.
Yeah, I just remember, like, when we put that show up for sale, getting, like, after day 1, the ticket numbers, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know. And I think that was obviously a moment in time. We hadn't played in a long time, pandemic, like, the stars kind of lined up, and we had a great, like, weekend at Aura. And I think we'll be able to do it again. I just think that was such a special moment for this band, because it was like the moment, I think, like Marty said, we all realized, like, oh, like, we should be doing this, right?
Well, it doesn't feel forced at all. And having heard the music, the 2 new songs, we saw you last year. We just saw you a couple weeks ago. It doesn't feel forced. And Marty, I think you said something about, like, this isn't about the past, it's about tonight, or, I forget what you said, but I felt that, and I was like, nothing feels forced. It's like, and you guys are young enough where it's not, old guy yelling at cloud on the stage,
Hey, thanks.
Well, it's a little bit of that.
I mean,
it's a little bit of that, but that's also because I'm just a huge Simpsons fan, and I'm also an old man yelling at things. Thank you, and I appreciate you saying that, Anthony. I think that's one thing that I really wanted to. I wanted to like drill into everyone's heads, because when we put out these new songs, everybody's like, "This brings me back to 2006," and I'm like, "Yes, there is that like thing of nostalgia we're millennials that are getting older and we miss those times, but it's like at the same time, what we're doing with Sparks to Rescue, like we're not trying to just like go out and play the hits. We're six guys that love playing music together, and we want to do that, and we want to share that with people that listen to it. So it's like, fuck the nostalgia. This is not 2006. This is 2024, and we're here to fucking go, because you know what?
It's so aggressive. It's so aggressive.
I know, I kinda love it.
aggressive.
I
I was gonna say,
But
I think I've heard this before. I think I heard this 2 weeks ago.
You see, he starts going. He doesn't stop. He's
I
getting
love
all pissed off.
the thing is okay, just hear me out for 1 second. What brought us all to going out to shows when we were young teenagers is that the world sucked and we had no control over it and we didn't like it, but we've had a community of people that played music and wanted to go see music and share this thing where we didn't feel alone. And you know what? I still feel that same way now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why it's 2024. It's not 2006. We're doing this right here and right now. And like, even if we don't play shows every other weekend, when we're at a concert, we can forget all of the things that we don't want to think about, and we can move around in a concert with people and scream at the top of our lungs and just experience life with each other for a couple of hours. And that's why I said, like, fuck that nostalgia bullshit. We're doing it right here, right now.
And it's good. I need that energy in my life, because I have a problem with nostalgia. I'll get real mopey, and I'll just be sad thinking about the past. And Marty's like, shut the fuck up.
Well, it doesn't feel like cosplay. Like a lot of these bands, a lot of reunited bands are like cosplaying as being, trying to relive previous generation. It doesn't feel like that. That's like, and even at the show, I was like, no one's forcing me to be here. I'm not being here because I used to go. It's like, I want to go, and I loved it.
I was forcing you. We're going to that show, Anthony.
And I lost my voice, but it was.
Me too.
I remember looking down right at the side of the stage, just like down there, like filming a clip or something. Like, oh, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
I can't get enough, man.
No, it meant a lot. You guys were there. We appreciated that.
Yeah, I specifically, this a couple of times, Anthony. I found you in the crowd while we were singing.
I think you fed him at one point.
You fed him. Did you feed him?
You fed me bread.
You got my bread, bro?
See, there's still a little bread. Jesus stuff sprinkled in there.
Yo, man, I'm just all about love, baby.
Yeah. That was, I've never seen that at a show. I've been to a lot of shows. I've never seen somebody walk out on stage and start feeding the crowd. So that was entertaining.
We had a catering budget, and I went and got all this deli meat and cheese and bread. It was so much, dude. And I don't know, Alex doing Mexico and Mark, we're just like, why don't you go give everyone some bread, dude? So much bread. And
That's
then but he went out there and just like was so gentle, just like tearing like a baby burden it to everybody. Just
I've literally done a lot of dumb things on stage. Like I love live music because it's just, you're in the moment, you do it. Oftentimes I just don't even know what the heck is happening until it's all done. But that was probably the silliest and dumbest thing I've ever done on stage. And I'm so proud of everyone that was there that was just willing to be like, yeah, all right.
Because you can tell people are like, do I eat the bread? Do I eat it?
Yeah, I guess I do, yeah.
Where does bread come from?
All right, to set the stage, Marty comes out with a bag of bread. What was it? Sourdough or
bulky
sesame?
Bulky roll.
Yeah, and just feeding them to everyone up front. And I, happily, willingly accepted the bread. It
was good bread. It was.
I was too far back. If I had been closer, I probably would have also accepted some bread.
I think Pat went out into the crowd and got fed too. I think you fed Pat, right?
That was the wildest thing, is that like if the show was just going on and I'm just walking back and forth on the stage, I'm throwing it, I'm feeding it to people. Like, someone gave me a joint and I gave them a full roll.
Oh,
And then I
that deserves a
look
full
over,
roll. Yeah.
It's a
I
good
look
trade.
over, and then Patrick is there in the crowd with his guitar. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing in the world to do is just fucking baby bird it to him, put a whole roll in my mouth, and then we, Lady in the Trampet.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it was an entertaining show. It was a fun weekend, I'm sure, for you guys. We get to go to Saturday, but you played 2 shows at Sun Tiki Studios in Portland, Maine, which is a fun little venue on Forest Avenue, if you're familiar. And yeah, man, the energy in that room on Saturday night anyway was pretty epic. So you guys are still doing it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, my back and ankles and neck hurt for like 3 days after that.
Tell me about it, man.
Yeah, I lost my voice for 2 days because I was an idiot, but it was fucking beyond worthwhile. And I think it's one of the things that we realized, or at least I know I can only speak for myself, but when we did the original quote unquote reunion shows, like being on stage with each other and with people that want to watch us play is one of the best feelings in the world. And especially the shows at Sun Tiki, which we specifically designed to be at a small, good sounding space with like an intimate crowd, was like, that's ultimately like the best feeling in the world. It brings us back
so
to
good.
when we started playing VFW halls and like old Grange halls. Like, it's not playing on a big stage. You can see everyone that's there, talk to everyone that's there, and share in the experience, which is just, that's what fucking live music's all about.
Yeah, the cool thing about Sun Tiki is when we could get off the stage, go to the merch table, and literally say like goodbye and thank you to everyone that came. Whereas at Aura, it's like you may hit like a handful, but like we all went to the merch table and like shook everyone's hand, like thanks for being here, like we really appreciate it. I like that aspect of those small gigs.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's so cool that we get to do this still. I texted everybody after the shows. I'm like, this is fucking crazy, right? We still get to do this.
Oh yeah, it's funny. It was a throwback, but it was fresh, and like I want to see you guys there every weekend.
Yeah.
I'm in. Let's go.
Well, I was thinking, I can't remember the first time I saw you guys, but it was probably 04, 05, realistically.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I've probably seen you guys maybe 20 times. Marty, you're more present in the live show now than in the past. Is that intentional? Is that because you ditched the keys?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that I think we realized when we did the first reunion show, where I was like, look, I haven't played fucking straight up keys. Like, I play synthesizer all the time, but like I hadn't like actively practiced playing keys in a long period of time. Like, I'll go out and scream because like I know I can do that. But like, I've never been a good keyboard player anyways. And I was like, I just want to go up and scream and I want to have fun. And doing that and having that energy of not having to worry about anything, like I had the confidence of just going up and being an insane idiot on stage.
Confirmed.
Really,
yes,
like,
I've seen it.
yes, thank you. And it was really like, for me, it was freeing more so than anything. Of being like, I love synthesizers, I play synthesizers, but like I am not a technically gifted person when it comes to that, like the rest of the guys with all of their instruments. But
I'm not a great kid. Yeah, listen, I play a mean G chord, but whatever.
Thank you. But I know that I'm a fucking showman and I know how to scream. And so when we started doing stuff again, I was like, you know what? I'm not saying I won't play the keys again, but like my skill is behind a fucking microphone and performing and being on stage. Like, that's where I shine. And we all realize that, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but like I fucking go on stage and like people fucking flip their lid and was like, all right, well, let's do it. Like, I'll like go up there and fucking, you want to let me loose? I'll go loose.
That's the Marty party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and I think that we had this, we also kind of like this new dynamic of like the two frontmen thing that's happening. And even on like Collarbone, I love like the dynamic between you and Alex. It almost has this like old school Taking Back Sunday vibe of the back and forth. And so I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have a dynamic duo leading the charge on stage in the front.
Well, with Collarbone, that's the earliest Marty's ever come in on a song.
I think
I
so.
feel
For
like.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually
You
it's
get a
like the
dose of Marty
bridge.
early. I'm like, I'm
Yeah, and
in.
it's like I'm even close to coming to singing, like not really singing, but a little bit singing.
Yeah.
Is that next? Is that the next chapter of Sparks?
I mean, I highly doubt it because I think that's the best I could probably ever do. But we'll see.
I thought it was
give
cool.
give me some baritone parts, and maybe I'll start doing some shit. But we'll see. It's just been fun. We've all been just like pushing ourselves, and especially with the dynamic where we've sort of got to now, where it is like not just one front man. It's me and Alex are the lead vocalists, so that changes the dynamic of things.
Does, yep.
More screaming or more like, for me, pushing myself vocally, like I sing all the time, but like, have I ever felt confident in that? No. But like, why not? Let's try it. Like, let's have fun.
Well, and it allows you to play a little more with harmonies and sing and scream at the same time, which is cool on Collarbone, and like just it probably unlocks a few more things for you, I would think, musically.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's cool. Like we were even recording it, and I was laying down the harmonies in the chorus, and it was cool to do like harmonies on the first half, and then Marty could do the screams with Alex on the second half. So it wasn't just like this. We were able to split parts up a little more tastefully now that there's like more going on, and instead of just like layering everything on there as much as we could, like maybe we would have done in the past, it's like, oh no, let's all do our part. And maybe that's just from playing music for a long time and just learning.
That makes sense. Like you're doing, and you're working with you work with John Wyman again, right? Up at Halo. Yeah. So you've got a relationship with him and that area and that studio. It's probably like, all right, we've done it that way. Let's try it this way. I would imagine. How did that kind of come about for you guys? Like, was it let's just do something a little different this time?
I mean, I'm all like John Wyman is just my favorite. I think he's the best producer engineer in the state of Maine at the very least. And I mean, he's like doing really cool stuff. I mean, he did that last Pretty Reckless record that went, I don't know the terms, but it did really well. And I mean, I've worked with him on my 2 solo CDs I've done. Like he's just the man. He's easy to work with. He's fun. We've been friends with him since we've been a band.
Yeah.
I posted that picture of us in the studio with him when it was over at Hawks Plaza doing the Secrets EP. Like he's just been the extra member of Sparks.
Yeah, he's sort of like the Billy Preston, like the 7th member of Sparks the Rescue.
Yeah, for sure.
In the regard that like we first recorded Nurse Nurse with him as a demo or as a single
because for MySpace, yeah.
For MySpace, and working with him was like finding someone who got what we were trying to do and it was our friend, but also wanted to work with us to take what we had in our heads and mold it into something that sounded good. Not that it didn't sound good, but
no, I remember being in high school and like the unattainable goal was to record with John Wyman.
With John Wyman, yeah.
Like that was like all I ever wanted to do. And by the time we got there, it was just like my entire high school being in a band career has led me to this point. And we got those mixes back and I'm like, oh my God, we did it. Listen to that. It sounds so fucking good. We finally sound like the band should sound on a recording. So, I just love John. He's the man. And I'm super glad that we went back and did these songs with him.
I don't think it really was like a question for any of us, honestly, because like, I mean, working with producers and engineers is a whole thing, but like with him, it's like, it's working with a family member or like working with like an older brother sometimes who is like, all right, that's good. Like, you're cool, but like, don't wear that.
Right.
Like Jankos are out, bro. Like it's not cool anymore. You should probably wear some I don't even know what cool jeans are, so I'm just gonna stop.
I don't know. I still wear skinny jeans. I read
Diesel
those
jeans.
are out.
Diesels.
Are skinny jeans out though? Is that a thing?
I don't. I've never worn skinny jeans because I don't think I can. But I don't think those ever went out. Where Jenkos went out. You know what I mean?
Jenkos went out. I had some Jenkos. I was pumped.
Oh yeah, me too.
No, but you definitely had Jenkos.
Oh, like 5th grade, 6th grade.
I think when I met you, when I didn't like you, you were wearing Jenkos.
Was it the Jinkos?
That or the ball chain necklace?
Was it the Jinkos?
It was the chain wallet.
Oh,
It
the
was the
chain
chain-
wallet. Or was it the peanut allergy? It's hard to say.
No, I love the analogy.
No, I had like bleach blonde hair and a big chain wallet, like an obnoxious chain wallet. I think it was down my ankle. So that's probably it. I never listened to like Korn or anything, though.
Dude, I
don't either.
listened to Korn and Korn rules.
I know, dude. Freak on
Life
a
is
Leash.
Peachy, man.
Freak on a Leash came on my walk the other day. And I listened to the whole thing and I'm like, wow, that's a song.
Yeah.
No,
That
it's
is a song.
insane. It just was never something that I came back to, but it was nuts.
I corn shame you because I was a big corn guy. We talked about it. We had an episode, our 4-year anniversary episode, where we had someone interview us, and we
Oh, cool.
talked about the Life is Peachy album because it slaps, man.
Is that the Freak on a Leash one?
No,
No.
Before,
Well,
yeah.
Marty's like,
twist
let me
and-
tell you about Life is Peachy.
All right.
You got me, Anthony. I'm a Korn fan, unapologetically.
Well, I respect what they've done, so I'm not knocking them as an entity, and I do think some of the songs are good. I just it was never a band I put on actively by myself. So
Well, did you watch like that? I don't want to get too off track, but did you watch that Woodstock documentary? Like,
yes,
so like that gave me a lot of insight into like how angry maybe the kids were at the time and they needed Limp Bizkit and Korn. I guess that may have been the time when I started listening to like Death Cab for Cutie and stuff. And I'm like,
Yep.
why is he making noises like that? And why is the bass guitar just like strings flapping in the wind? I don't understand.
Why are those tuned? Why are they so loose?
yeah. No, I would agree with that. And some people went that route, and some people went the Korn, Limp Bizkit, new
I
metal
think Marty
route.
went both, it turns out.
Yes,
So,
I think
Yeah.
Anthony and I went both too.
I went both. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, honestly, like, it's one of those things that, like, I've realized I was always so judgmental when it came to music, and the older that I get, being able to come back to stuff and listen to it with fresh ears or older ears, I can listen to someone like Korn and be like, holy fucking shit. Like, maybe I wasn't there at the time, but this shit is heavy as all get and emotional as all get. And it's like, it's something, I think it's something special, but that's also just me trying to be more understanding the older that I get. And also, like, the emotion is there, man.
you are much more understanding than I am.
God.
I listened to that whole song. I listened to the whole song. And I'm like, wow.
Dude, listen to Twist.
I
Yeah.
don't think I will.
I know you won't. All right, listen to some 311 at least, please.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, guys.
No, this is the type of stuff we live for, man. We've done this for 4+ years now, just going off on tangents about music. So
Okay.
we totally. I feel Toby and I are aligned on this one, so I feel you. But at the
We're
same
cool.
time, I also understand Marty, where like I'm almost 40. I have a way bigger palette than I did when I was 30.
Yeah.
And definitely bigger than I did when I was 20. So like
Yeah.
I respect all kinds of different music now that I probably wouldn't have given the time of day 10
For
years
sure.
ago.
I know.
Exactly.
I'm half kidding.
Yeah, totally.
I agree with you.
I think the one thing that I think about is, like, especially as us probably all identifying as like emo kids and possibly hipster adjacent, we always had like the idea of what was good music and what was very bad music. And we were willing to tell everyone that. And the
Not
older
wrong.
that I've gotten, I've realized that, like, that's a lot of fucking bullshit. As long as you're listening to music, that's all that fucking matters.
We
And
all
there's
still think it. Now we just don't say it.
yeah, except in the right kind of crowds.
Yeah, I'm a weird mix. Like I can listen to Under Oath, I can listen to Korn, I can listen to Blood for Blood, I can listen to 311. I'm a weird case.
I think we all are. I think that's what's cool,
Like
though.
there's case studies about weirdos like me, and that's why we started this podcast. Like look at go on our website, look at every band we've interviewed.
Oh, and I have.
None
It's
of them
cool.
should be paired together. It doesn't
You
make
guys have
sense.
quite a roster.
You guys just did fucking, was it the dude from Living Color?
Yes,
I
we
was
Corey
so
Glover.
pumped to see that.
He's got a new band too, and yeah, we had a good time with that one. That band is really cool. So the new band that he's part of, And the dude can
That's
fucking sing, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
you're not going to say no to Corey Glover. We're like, oh yeah, we would like to talk to him. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Music is the best thing in the world, and I think as long as we are like saying yes to people being into music, whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
like that's the most important thing. Rather than when we were like 17 years old and be like, oh, you like that band? That band fucking sucks. Like, yeah, man, we're better than that now.
I've been listening to music for 5 years and I know everything. It's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
Exactly.
That's spot on right there.
Right. When you're 19, you're like, oh man, have you heard of this one band? This is the best band ever because I just got into them. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, there's more out there.
But that was also cool about all of us, like when we were in high school and like found each other. We would all bring in different CDs and be like, you gotta like. I remember Nate, the first day he had his Walkman. He had that All American Rejects first CD with the friggin'
Swing.
with the lawnmower on or like a whatever
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
is. He's like,
Yep.
dude, you gotta check this out. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And like, that's how we all discovered music through each other. And like, yeah, everyone else was stupid, but like we knew what was going on.
Nick Wheeler, been on this podcast. We had Nick Wheeler.
Dude, that's sick.
It was pretty
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Actually, we brought up you, Toby. I think we brought up you in that
We
episode.
did because
Oh,
you
and
had
he was
told
like,
them.
oh,
Yeah.
I totally remember that band from Maine that we brought on tour. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Tony? No, Toby. No.
Yeah, Spurs, yeah, something. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm sure he had no idea who we were.
No, he remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listening to you guys, especially the new couple of tracks that are out, you can tell you all bring different stuff in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you become the band you are if you aren't all pulling from a bunch of different places. So
Yeah.
we love that stuff. I mean, I know I'm speaking for you, Anthony, as well. I know I love that stuff because it gives you. I want to dig into what Toby likes. I want to dig into what Marty likes because I like what they make. So let's find out what brought them there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I would think working with a familiar like face like John Wyman, it makes sense. And it's funny, like a lot of like legacy bands, sometimes they bounce from producer to producer. I'm like, that's like, I don't know, it's almost like speed dating. You know what I mean? It's like, can you even form a connection? I don't know. I wouldn't think you
Yeah.
can.
It's like it feels hit or miss, right? Like
Yeah,
it could
exactly.
be like it could be awesome, but it could be like a disaster. I don't know. And like I said, if something's working, I don't really see a need to like not do it. What's the saying? If it's not broken, don't try to fix it. I don't know. And plus, it's different. We're in Maine, dude. We're not in like New York City. It's just like everything feels a little more like a community up here, just in my opinion. And like John's just our boy, and he's our dude, and we work well together, and it sounds fucking great.
Yeah. And I know like I've always like being a huge music nerd that I am, like you have bands that record with one producer and then all of a sudden for some reason or the other, they like, whether it's their label or they want to change things up, they go and record a record with a different producer and you're like, who the fuck is this band and what have they done?
Right.
And that's not, I think, anything that's ever come into our brains, but like working with John, it's like we go in with our songs and they're our songs, but he makes them fucking like he like just polishes them up. And it's like he gets us and knows how to get the best performances out of us. And it's like, why would you work with anyone else unless it's someone very specific? Like, I want this sound.
Yeah,
Exactly.
John knows how to work with us, where it's like you can be something simple as like me doing the breakdown for Bass Skate Park and being like, you don't need to do that again.
yeah,
Like that sounded fucking great. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So like at this point, it's like, as Toby said, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
yeah.
So we've got the two songs. We know, I think you guys announced that you're probably going to do a show later in the year at Aura again, right?
Yeah, it's not really announced yet, but it's coming down the pipeline.
I've been whispering on the internet about it.
The
Yeah.
secrets we can't keep is
Yeah.
that
It's not like it doesn't need to be like a big secret. Like we're definitely going to do a show later this year, and we're stoked about it. Yeah, so probably announce sometime in the next couple months.
And maybe more music. I mean, are you working? What are you guys doing?
I think that's our goal. I think our goal is to get together, and we have a few ideas brewing, like more than a few. I wish if we all had like the time we did when we were 20. Like, dude, we were rehearsing every night.
That's wild. That's crazy.
It felt like every
That's
night.
crazy.
It was at least 3 times a week because like that was all we did. We would go to Ben's office in Gray and rehearse like for hours and hours, and then just do it again the next day. And like if we had that kind of time, we'd probably have a full-length record in like 2 months from now. But I think the goal is to just write and record more songs.
Yeah, because like back then you have the luxury of like maybe some members living together, and you know what I mean. It's just like it's a different now. Like people are married and you get kids.
I mean, this house I'm sitting in right now was my dad's house, the house I grew up in, and it was vacant when we were working on the second full length. Worst thing I've been cursed with, which was indeed the worst thing we were cursed with. But it was fun to write because my dad wasn't living here at the time. This house is just on a lake and it was sitting here vacant. So we moved in for 2 months and just like partied and wrote songs. It was amazing.
And you can't do that today. Like it just doesn't. We just can't do that anymore. Your
wife would hate you. Your wife and your kids would hate you.
Yeah.
And I've always floated this, like if we ever wanted to like write a chunk of songs, like my idea would be, okay, everyone, let's take a week off, work, family, life, and get an Airbnb somewhere and go write songs. Like to me, that's like the most efficient way to do it. But right now it's like, okay, is everyone free on like Tuesday, May 3rd? Let's like get together and jam. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little tough right now, just in the fact that we all do have lives and responsibilities, but we are all very like, I think invigorated and passionate. Like what happened, and I don't know if you don't mind me sharing this, Toby, but like,
guess I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, you're gonna find out, aren't you? We had been talking about writing music for a while, and then like, 2 months goes by, 3 months goes by, and we haven't had the opportunity to practice, or like everybody's just busy. We have lives, we have jobs, we have kids, and me and Toby started talking, and we're like, look, we have at least one song, if not 2 songs, that we could go into the studio and record right now. Like we could go and do this, and you know what? It might light a fucking fire underneath our asses to write more music, because once you start the ball rolling, it's, like it creates an energy. And so like me and Toby convinced the rest of the guys to be like, let's throw down a couple bucks and go into the studio for 2 days. And just like, we don't have to have an album. We don't have to have a full album to do anything. The best thing to do is get these songs recorded.
Right.
And go from there. And that's what we did. And now all of a sudden we have more songs in the pipeline, and everybody is energized about writing music again. I mean, Patrick has, if not 4 ideas, he probably doesn't have any. He just is a writing machine. Like he's on fire.
Well, he's on fire in the right way. Like, he's writing the stuff that is what this band is. You know what I mean?
And it's passionate to him.
Right. So like, there's multiple writers in the band. Like Alex Roy's a fantastic songwriter, and it's just Pat's tapped into it right now. He's tapped into what Sparks is, and so that's why it's cool. Like I every time he sends us a new demo, I'm like, Jesus, man, so fucking sick. Can't wait to like get in the room and work on it. Like it's just
gotta ride that wave. Yeah,
the fire is there in all of us, and I think at some point it's like the lofty goals really start to hinder getting any work done. It's like, well, if we can't do a full length, then what's the point? Like, why bother? Like, we're not going to be able to afford a full length, so let's just not even work on a song. It's like, or we could just put a song out.
And well, the landscape's changed, right? I mean, you don't have to, be signed. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure people are probably looking their head around the corner at you guys, but like, you don't have to even have an EP. You can do, a single here and there. You don't have to tour. There's a lot of bands out there that just do flyout dates, and they keep the hype going. They keep the demand going. They control the supply, which controls the demand. And I don't know. Could you guys ever tour again, you think?
I think it would have to be the right opportunity. All of us except Marty have children and families and mortgages and shit. So it'd be like,
I do have families and mortgages and shit.
Yeah. You know what I meant.
I hear that, Marty.
And I think also the touring landscape has changed. Like it seems like people are doing more like, oh, let's do like a 6-day run and then go home. And then maybe like in a couple months do a 6-day run. Like I think that's something that's within reach if the opportunity was right. And like waiting for the call to do the emo cruise ship, like, can we do that, please? Then we could just go on a cruise and play some songs.
Well, exactly. The festival thing could totally happen too, right? It could be a 1-day or 2-day weekend thing, and you're there, and then you're back home. So
yeah, I think if we're hoping that could be a thing. Obviously, there's things that need to happen to get there because it's no one's going to just hit up our sparksrescue@gmail.com account. But
Well, you never know.
you never know.
Yeah.
We're hoping, yeah.
I think the days of being road dogs are far from over. I think for a lot of people, and specifically for Sparks, where like we do all have careers, we do all have families, but at the same time, we want to play music. And especially for like realizing when we started doing shows again that there are people that want to come and watch and listen to our music. Like that's probably the most motivating factor. Like not only do we love playing on stage, like the literal fact that there are people that want to watch us and share with us playing music, fuck yeah, we want to do that if we can. But it has to be the right scenario because like you can't just drop everything and be like, we're going on tour, dude, for 2 months. Like
I miss those days. That was fun.
It is fun, but like it's just not a reality. But like, even last year when we went out with Every Avenue and Make Out for 4 days, like just in Upper New England, it was like, that's fucking awesome. That's great. And I know we all were like, it has to stop now.
Yeah, for sure.
Can we just keep going for a little?
Just keep going. Yeah.
Because now we're like eating real food and sleeping in beds. Right. So it really made a difference and with my band, we've done a couple of things like that, like a 6-day run or whatever. And it's like, oh, hotel room every night. Like this doesn't have to be shitty. This can be cool. And I don't know. I speak for myself. It would be hard, but if there was an opportunity that came up, I'd have a hard time saying no, personally.
Yeah, if you planned it out right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us are like, especially now that we are all adults and we've worked through a lot of our stuff and we are all like, like relatively healthy and well-functioning like human beings. We fucking love being around each other and we love playing music. So like, why not do that if the opportunity arises? Because it's a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I love that because like you've all found your way and you've come back here. No one's forced you. You love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no like label breathing down your neck or it's on your terms. And that probably couldn't happen 20 years ago.
No. Yeah. The fact that we're always like, all right, everyone send over the Venmo. Let's book the studio time. Done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was easy and it was so rewarding to do it. And that's why I think we're going to do more.
All right. You guys down for a lightning round?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just finished my drink. Sounds good.
Quick hitters. Tone, we haven't done one of these in a while.
It's been a while. It's been
a while. We used to always land the plane of the interview with these. We're gonna.
It was a crutch that we don't need anymore. Is what it was.
But we get some good ones here.
You guys are great interviewers, by the way.
Thank you. Let's pause. Let's sniff the roses. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for real.
You guys are surprisingly not bad.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You guys don't suck.
Dick and I love you.
And for real though, we're stoked that you had us on. We appreciate that.
Hell yeah. All right. Marty, I don't know the answer to this. How did you join the band? Because I know Poser, right? I know Poser was a thing. How does Marty come into the picture?
All right, I don't know how lightning this is going to be, but
how does Marty come into the picture?
Me and Toby were in a musical together, Bye Bye Birdie, and
I was Conrad Birdie, by the way.
Toby was the lead, Conrad Birdie, and I was like I was the largest non-singing role because that's what I said to our drama teacher. I said, I will be in your musical, but I do not want to sing. And me and Toby,
like Sparks, just like Sparks.
Exactly. And so I think I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been Toby was wearing a Saves the Day shirt or dashboard shirt, or it was Seosin. There was something where we were hanging out, and I was like, oh, you like good music. And so I was like, all right, we'll start, like, I'm gonna start talking to this dude. And then it was just like, it was like, oh, you're not just a poser, like you're actually into good shit. You like Seosin translating the name? All right, let's talk some more.
Yeah.
You know, like Swiss Army Romance. And so I just started hanging out with the guys, and we realized that we all like had similar taste in music and that we were all a bunch of sad fuckers. And so I just started going to poser practices and watching them play, and then they started writing better songs, or songs that were like more dynamic and interesting to me. And I was like, oh, like that's some cool shit. And then eventually I was like, well, I have a synthesizer. Can I just like come and like play?
Yeah.
And hang out with you guys? And they're like, yeah, sure. I had no fucking idea what I was doing, but I like their music, and at least I don't know, we all became friends. And so one thing led to another, and here the fuck we are, I guess.
Yeah, right.
It's funny because like it's a very blurry. Listen, Ben, our bass player, Ben Briggs, like his memory is like wildly good. Like if you could probably do a whole like 2-hour interview with him, and he would give you the history down to the day of every day what happened.
True.
But like
Part 3.
it's pretty fuzzy for me. Like out of high school, it was like we were hanging out with you, and then Travis was the 4th member officially of the band, and it was like so short-lived that I don't even know if maybe we played a show.
Been a month or two. I don't think we ever played a show. We played practices.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we did a show with him. And then that's when we linked up with Patrick, who was playing in a band called Short of April. And I
remember seeing them. I saw them at the Edge.
And then this was like Bass Skate Park times. That's when the 5-piece like formed. And we were still in I was still in high school. I must have been a senior.
Yeah, something like that, sophomore or junior to senior year.
Yeah. And then, dude, it's funny because those days are fuzzy. I'm sure Ben could give you the play-by-play at some point if you ever cared.
But yeah, pretty much Toby and me were in a musical together, and I realized that these posers weren't actually posers.
With a Z.
And that they had good taste in music, and that they were like, went from writing Blink-182 covers to like their own original shit. It was the Reindeer Rock-Off.
Yeah.
And
DL familiar?
Macaulay High School, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We touched on this in episode 44, actually.
Yes, and I remember sitting in the crowd and watching those guys play. They were all wearing black collared shirts with like red ties.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah, that's
Hurley shorts.
Exactly.
Or Dickies.
And definitely Dickies.
Ben, during the one song that I liked by you guys, Ben walked up on the Ampeg and like playing his bass, then jumped off of it, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool.
The 8x10. Oh yeah,
that's what sold you. That
was one of the things that sold me. That and like songs that were like, they were more informed by the music that I was listening to and that they were listening to. Like we were into like stuff like Saves the Day and Jimmy Eat World, like early Jimmy Eat World. And I think Seosin had just come out. Thursday had just come out with
Full Collapse.
A Full Collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the stuff that I was like fully keyed in on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you guys listen to this too?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
And like literally we were the only like 4 people in our high school that listened to that.
Hey, you find a way to find each other. I've lived it in multiple different settings and states. It happens. You find each other.
Like I had no contemporaries besides my older brother who listened to any sort of like music like that. Like whether it be punk, hardcore, post-hardcore, post-punk, any of that stuff. Like emo wasn't even a term at that point. But like that was the music that I know I was listening to and I resonated with. And then I found a couple other people that also resonated with that. And especially being in like a small town high school, especially small town like Western Maine, where kids drove their tractors to high school. And you're like, oh, you guys are cool? You guys like good music? Like
y'all got that new Under Oath record? All right.
Exactly. Like, have you heard of the Changing of the Times before? Like that, it just once we found each other, it sort of just like went from there because like much like I said earlier, once you find other people that make you feel less alone, you're like, all right, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, we should have led with this question.
I know,
How was
right?
that for lightning? Was that a
That
good
was a good
lightning?
lightning round one.
Yeah.
I have another one that might take a minute too, but
Oh no.
and if it does, so be it. But friend of ours, friend of the podcast, Josh, had a question for you guys. Craziest station show story,
Jeez.
I love this question.
Oh,
or favorite,
man.
or moment, anything
or
from those
us,
shows,
or just being at the station.
any of it, sure.
Because I think well, you first, Toby.
No, I was just gonna say that in general, that place is just like a death trap to be in. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
One entrance, one exit.
no oxygen, total fire hazard.
Ceiling tiles falling down. Yep.
So yeah, and like they're always screaming at Alex not to hang from the water main pipe that's over the stage, and he's always just hanging from his feet. Like he would climb up it and like hang from his feet and sing, and the sound guy's just like, no. It never broke, but I think maybe it did break for another band that played there. I mean, me and you saw Haste the Day there, right? That was pretty gnarly. Were you?
Yeah,
wasn't that me and you?
We definitely saw Haste there.
Yeah.
I think recently I was talking about this with you, maybe Nate, maybe Patrick, but I think it might have been Every Time I Die or He Is Legend. I remember being at the station and some dude in a band went up on that one like water main that was like in the middle of the stage.
Yeah, that's
He
what
was
I'm
a
talking about.
guitarist. Yeah, he went up, he climbed up, hung his legs over the water main, and then started playing guitar upside down, hanging from
Wow.
the stage. And I was like, that is fucking insane.
Yeah.
So I think it was Every Time I Die, because I drove up. I lived in Massachusetts at the time, and a bunch of us drove up to see Every Time I Die at the station. And I remember something funky. Like you're digging deep into the memory banks here.
Yeah.
You've unlocked
Like,
a core memory for me.
I remember just like, I didn't even look at the sound guys, but I remember just seeing this dude like literally like hanging on with dear life with his calf muscles and just like ripping solos. And I was like, holy shit.
And I mean, not really like a crazy story, but just a crazy time in our lives. Like we were playing the station, I don't know, what would you say, once a month? Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like, no matter what, 700 people would come and like sing every word to our songs. I just remember just being this young band and being like, this is so fucking cool. Like to me, like that was making it. We made it. Like at that point in my life, like we had never been happier. That was so much fun. Good times at the station. Rest in peace.
Yep. Driving in our big van to go to station shows, listening to Lil Jon on blast. Possibly
just smoking so much weed.
Possibly very extremely high on weed. And then going and like playing songs we had never recorded and having almost like it felt like the entire crowd singing along to those songs. Yeah. Those for us personally, I know for myself, like it was just the station will always hold a very special spot, I think, in all of our hearts. Actually, me and my girlfriend, we went to a Sea Dogs game a couple months ago, and afterwards we're like, you want to go to the station? Because it's still
Is it still a thing? Wow.
Yeah, it's still like a billiards hall.
Billiard club, yeah.
It's probably way sketchier now than it ever has been.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But like walking down those steps, like both me and her, because she used to go to shows back in the day too. It was like, what a fucking time warp of just like, it's one of those things like you just said, Anthony. It's like you're unlocking all these memories of being like, it was a time. It was a completely different time that like I think shaped and molded anyone that was involved with it back then.
For sure. Muscle City. Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing about it is if you look back at the roster of bands that played from 06 to 08, it's everyone came through.
And it's it.
I mean, like Thrice, like Thrice would draw 1,500, 2,000 now, but like, were they bigger? No, like it was a weird time where we were the right age, you know?
Yeah.
If we were
I
any
just
older,
saw-
we wouldn't have cared. Younger, we wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah, no, Sum 41 played the station.
Yeah, now they're
Uh,
playing the Civic Center.
you going?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
No, that's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
I wanted to know about this.
We'll tell you
off,
after.
off the record. Off the record.
All
I'll
right,
tell you.
But yeah, the bands that were rolling through the station, it was like Muscle City and I-90, like at the Edge in Augusta. Like those two venues were just pulling these crazy to me. Like I remember just being like this kid who liked this band like Spitalfield, and they play the station, be like, oh my God, our Cartel. Like we gotta go see them. Like no one else cared, but like to me,
Yeah.
it was just like I can't believe they're playing in Maine. That's so cool.
The early November.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like no one,
yeah.
like I
Well,
said,
they
no one
all
in
came
our
through.
high school, no one cared, but me and Ben and Nate and Marty cared, and then we'd go.
So Head PE, Taproot came through there, and
Yeah.
Atmosphere. I remember seeing Atmosphere there
Fuck yeah.
right around election 08. So I was like,
And
it was
Election
a wild
08.
time. And that room, like you had that tiny little like hall that was where the floor was, but
Yeah.
like that night there were people all into where the billiards stuff was.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was just trying to get an
The
angle at the stage.
backstage.
It was
Yeah.
That was the cheat
wild.
code. If
Yeah.
you could get one of the good spots on the pool
Right.
side,
Yeah.
you had. It was like the Edge. Like if there was spots like on
The
the
window
side.
seat.
Yeah, the window
Yeah.
seat.
Yep.
All right, we get time for one more. and I think
one more.
This
Yeah.
is this is an important one. Last time we talked with you, Toby, you were looking for your Gibson Les Paul Jr. guitar.
Yep.
Still not found. It's still out
Nope.
there.
It's
So,
out there.
Give the pitch to anyone that's listening that doesn't know anything about the situation.
All right, here we go. If you go to my Instagram page, it's pinned to the top of my profile. Me and my buddies, they play in a band, Skosh. They're excellent filmmakers, and they helped me shoot like this 2-minute segment on the guitar and how I'm just really trying to find it, especially because my father is now not with us anymore. I really want to get it back. I have the serial number. I have the last known location. I bought a Les Paul Jr. during the pandemic, the same exact model. So if anyone comes forward with mine, I will just trade them. They can have the same exact guitar. So I'm ready to go. Like I said, serial number. It's got to be somewhere. They're not super common guitar. And I would just be very grateful. Thanks for allowing me to say that.
We'll when this episode drops, we'll
We'll share that
share
again.
it either
Yeah.
the night we drop this or the next day. It'll be there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
It would be fun. It would be fun to find it.
And if you are looking for Toby's Instagram, it's in the show notes, and it's easy to find. All that stuff will be very easy to find if you just stop driving and look at your phone real quick.
Yeah.
Don't look at it now though. Like pause, park,
Yeah,
and then
pull
then
over.
go check
Right,
it out.
pull over.
And if you want to find Marty, you know, it's just a messy man.
Yeah, baby.
He'll be in there too.
messiest.
He'll be in there too. Yeah,
Best IG handle ever.
it is that's a great IG handle. I agree.
The thing is it's true.
Yeah.
All right, Sparks the Rescue, still crushing it. Marty, Toby, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Lots of fun, and I know we're going to do it again down the line, but excited for what you guys have coming in the rest of 2024.
Yeah, we are too, man. Thank you guys so much for talking to us. It's
Thank
always
you
a
guys
pleasure
so
hanging
much.
out with you.
True pleasure.
Yeah, this was fun. This was we needed this. This was good.
Hey,
Yes.
anytime you
Yeah.
want to chat, we'll chat.
I'm looking forward to part 2 at a Grange Hall. Let's make it happen.
No, we absolutely want to do a live one. That would be a blast, and I think you guys would be perfect for it. So,
All right, count us in.
thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast, YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.